Welcome back, everyone, to our prayer journey with Mike Toth. And today, I want to talk about a very important topic that each and every one of us are going to face in the future, and that is our own destiny, our own demise. As I was younger, I did not face death too often, but as I got older, I have seen so many people die, and there is a big difference in death between those who know the Lord and those who do not. There's a verse in Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, it says, "It is better to go in the house of mourning than to go in the house of feasting. For this is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to heart." And that is so true. When I go to funerals that do not know the Lord, they're saying nice things, but there is no anchor. But I went to one particular funeral or memorial service in which my son-in-law's grandma died. And I loved that woman, and I loved her husband, who was in ministry for 40 years, and she was a puppeteer and he was a pastor, and they had very little money. You can say for sure they were not in this for any money, but to preach the gospel. And I looked around while I was there, and the fruit of her life was everywhere. It was so impressive. But if you go to another funeral where there's mourning and crying because they don't know where that person went and they don't see the fruit out in the field, it is disconcerting. You would have a heavy heart. So I sat there and I looked at this family. I knew I was going to miss her. I was worried about the husband. And then it just hit me. You know what, Mike? Take a look at your life. Is there anything you need to correct? So I looked back as I thought about all her children, all of the things she's done, and I found one person that I felt I needed to contact. But it started out innocently. I started thinking about all of the bad things this man had done to me. He was trying to get rid of me. I don't think it was because of me, but because he was trying to save his job at the time. But he cursed me. He did so many bad things to me. Lied, used tricks. But thank God, I was praying to the Lord, and he drew me closer to the Lord, that I overcame all of those obstacles that I faced from him. But then as I was thinking of all these bad things, I was thinking, I probably should apologize to this man. And said, well, I kind of did, but I want to apologize and let him know I forgave him. And then God brought to mind a couple of good things that he did. Even though he was out to get me, we were both Met fans. And we were supposed to work this overnight thing doing an inventory during the Houston Mets series. And he called me into the office as this key game was going into, I think, the ninth inning, and the Mets were losing by 3 or 4 runs. And he sat with me, and we watched the game, and the Mets came back, and we stood there for about 4 hours watching this game as it went into the 16th inning, and it was one of the most exciting games that I've ever seen. And I thought about, that was a good thing he did. Then I remembered something else he did. My daughter was sick, and he tried to use that to get me out of the job. He really thought, I think, that I was milking it, and I was in management, he was above me, and he thought I was wimping out on him. And then he would call me at home, and I said, okay, I'm going to be there, and I usually opened up the place. He would beat me there when my daughter was sick, because she was that sick. And one time he called me, and he said, Mike, when are you going to get to work? And then he heard my daughter in the background screaming, because she had 105 fever, and we dipped her into a tub to get her temperature down. And he said, all of a sudden said to me, Mike, don't worry about coming to work today. When I got back the next day, he had called around to find me the best doctor to bring my daughter to. And that doctor got us in touch with the right people. And the problem was corrected almost overnight. So as I thought about it, I said, I should contact this man and not only say, I forgive you for all problems. Talk about old times. And just tell him again, thank you for getting me that doctor. So I went online, I went on Facebook, and I tried to find him. And I did. And he passed away 4 months before. I felt cheated. So here's the message. Forgive quickly. And tell people that you forgive quickly. Because life is too short and people die. And the funny thing about this man and me, I hope he got saved. I know he called me up one time and says, God really blesses you, so I hope he got saved. But we were connected in a different way too. That time you were watching this Houston baseball game, we found out that both of us, 23 years earlier, I believe it was 1969, we went to a baseball game in the Polo Grounds where the Mets won a doubleheader, which never happened. But at that game, a man, Jimmy Pearsall, hit a home run and ran the bases backwards. And we were still there. We were both there. So, don't hinder your prayers. If there's someone you need to tell that you forgive them, do it. I had no animosity against him, but I did feel I owed him that forgiveness. Don't let anybody die without hearing from you that you forgive them. So until next time, may Jesus increase as we decrease.